All right, we are about to go. Oh, we are actually live. Check it out, folks. I'm quite excited about this interview. I do have actually a very special guest on today. Been really looking forward to this one. But I'll actually let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Sherman. I am one of the presidential candidates in the 2024 election, and I'm hoping to earn your vote.
Cool. Okay. Well, you're doing pretty good so far. You made a positive impression on your just what you've gotten done so far. But let's get to actually learn more about you. The thing is that I do believe that you're running for president on the Green Party ticket. Am I correct?
So I am running for president on multiple party tickets. The goal is to be on all 50 states ballots, and I don't believe that my identity is tied to a political party. Political parties are vehicles to help you get elected. So I've partnered with the Green Party, the Unicorn Party, the Peace and Freedom Party, and there's the People's Party of Texas as well. And there's a couple more parties that I just met with, and I'm trying to make sure that we meet with as well.
Interesting. Okay, well, it's good to know. It's good that you're building a coalition. That's actually quite exciting. Yeah. All right, we'll see where this goes. Okay, so I do have history of some of those groups, so it's quite interesting. We're going to get to that after the. Just so you know, this series of questions is actually ones that I ask all the candidates. So you can compare that to actually I've interviewed 100 candidates so far. No, I think 60 candidates so far, and we're rapidly adding to that number. So let's start off right now. The first thing is this is really getting to know you and who you are as a candidate. Um, there are, different. How'd you first get started in this whole entire political process? What made you active politically or aware or decide to run for this position?
So I have been dealing with politics pretty much all my life. I was a foster kid, and then I started working with the houseless several years ago in my city. And I tried to buy an old jail to convert to permanent housing, and then I tried to buy an old school. Both times, my local municipalities would not sell them to me because they said they could make more money with a developer. Those buildings are still sitting empty, by the way, but they just didn't want to do anything for the public. And so I was like, I want to give everyone housing, but I didn't, that wasn't the tipping point. The tipping point was when my grandmother, and I know people are going to be like, well, it only mattered to you once it was your grandmother. Like all issues, most Americans only care about them when it hits them in their own feelings, right? My grandmother had a seizure on my birthday and she wasn't allowed a hospital room. She sat in the hallway because everyone with COVID had beds. And so I took that personally and I was like, we've lived under Trump, we've lived under Biden. It's time to do something different. And so I ran for president.
Okay. All right. What now? Some people they have like a certain ideology. They may be a socialist, a communist, a libertarian, or people make up these different labels and stuff. Do you have a certain political ideology that you follow?
Um, I'm a Pan-African socialist. I believe that everyone deserves a place of quality to sleep, quality food to eat when they get there. I also believe that healthcare is something that you need as well. Outside of that, my politics are pretty much leave people alone, let people live. Um, the more I learn about things, the more I feel like we don't all need these labels to divide ourselves. If you want people to be treated well, then I'm a candidate that you should look at. If you want some people to be treated better than others, then I'm probably not the candidate for you. I believe that we need equitable living conditions in the United States.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Do all right. So let's move on to the next question. There's people with different levels of experience. You already mentioned one of the things. I think that's a pretty impressive, ambitious plan to buy a former jail. That shows some level of resources and maybe knowledge of the system. But what are you most proud of accomplishing in your, you know,
In
work
my
that's
life,
relevant? In your work that's relevant. A lot of people say their kids. I say please keep it to something that's relevant to the position you're running for, right? So
oh,
maybe
yeah,
manage a business, maybe did help pass a law. Go ahead.
no, I currently support 33% of the houseless population in Charlotte, North Carolina. I take people who literally are houseless and then I put them in housing. Um, and I want to do that nationally. It would be cheaper to do it nationally, allowing me to give land back to the indigenous community and to eliminate property tax for the average American. Ending houselessness saves everyone money. It's more efficient. Now, I do have a master's degree in finance. I did get a bachelor's degree in business. And anybody who does any of those things understands that buying in bulk is the most efficient way to buy anything. And so the way I plan to end houselessness is to buy every house that's on the market within the first 90 days that I'm in office.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, that's okay. Let's go to the next question over here. The thing is that there's different people that are maybe influential to maybe your politics. Maybe you read certain books, or maybe been influenced by someone living or dead, right? Yeah. Who's been most influential to your own style of governance or what your political
Uh,
viewpoint?
I would say that my style of governance has never been enacted in any Western country. But for people that Americans would know, I lean heavily on Harriet Tubman and Fannie Lou Hamer. I support I support Marcus Garvey's wife and the political things that she did. I look at things through a very femme presenting lens. And so leaders like Angela Davis would also, post 2020, Angela Davis would be someone that I would have aligned with
What
as
is it
well.
about these leaders that make them influential to you?
They were regular people, $0 and 0 cents when they were born. They did what they had to do. And one of the best parts about these leaders is the American government has not whitewashed them, which means that their integrity is was pretty dope.
Well, the government does like to erase a lot of history, right? So,
They do, but those individuals' histories are untouchable, which is why we just don't get to hear about them at all.
all right, that's good to know. All right, let's move on to the thing is that the first half of my interview really kind of like gets to know, you as a candidate, right? Um,
Yeah,
do you have any other?
you
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say you told me to be ready. So
Oh, that's good. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, usually the first half of the interview I really ask about your background. The second half of the interview is to really like learn about your policies. So
Okay.
then, probably we're going to go off and talk about some other very, very interesting things, which is actually one of the why you're the most highly anticipated candidate interviews that I have in this entire election cycle, just straight up, right?
Okay.
Just serious. Anyways, let's get back to the. Just can you give us a quick rundown? It sounds like you had long experience with this. What is your? Can you tell me a little bit more about your body of work, just as an activist and this kind of thing? You've done a lot
So
in
my
housing. Go ahead.
right. So I want to be clear. My mutual aid that I run is my focus is about housing, but we help in any way. Bail release. We help when it comes to any direct action, making sure there are supplies for people who are protesting. We are a mutual aid group, so it's whatever the community needs at the time. There were times over the years where we've gotten arrested with everyone. We've protested. We have delivered supplies. We've been on, again, I've said jail release. We have also made sure that the community members have food, even when there isn't anything going on. My job as a community member is to hear what the community needs and deliver then. So often someone will call with an emergency. I need this amount of money so I don't go back to jail because people don't realize people who are out on bond or out on bail or people who are released, but they're just people who have gotten out early, right? Those people have to uh pay the people who watch them, right? And if they don't have that money, for people who are out on parole is the word I was looking for. I'm so sorry. People who don't have their parole fees where I live, they go back to jail. And so when I get that call from someone, then I do start calling around the community, some of the more privileged people first, and say, we need to raise this amount of money to keep this person from going back to jail. So it's a very needs-based mutual aid. What you need, we try to be based and deliver it.
Yeah, that's real. I know North Carolina has a real prison population, so having brothers come out like it, I mean, help get people to stay out is very good. I just saw actually. Well, let's not dive too deep into that. But I'm very thrilled about your work. By the way, we do have a lot of actually crossover. Uh, so actually, I do. We'll be talking about that later, though. Let's get to the policy portion of this. Quite excited to jump into that quite early. Um, let's find out what you're all about. So the thing is that I actually have many partners that I work with. I'm going to ask about their issues first. Then I'm going to ask about some general things. So first of all, I always have traditionally started my entire, I think, history of candidate interviews with asking first about Assange. How do you feel about the freedom of Assange?
Julian Assange?
Yeah,
I feel like he is a white man, so we talk about his freedom a lot.
you're not
We
wrong.
don't talk about we don't talk about Leonard Peltier, right? We don't talk
Hmm.
about other black and brown prisoners that are currently incarcerated and no one is speaking their name. So yes, Julian Assange, political prisoner who I feel for. But there are other black and brown voices that my policies would be freeing from prison, and they don't get any of the headlines and are sometimes more are larger victims than Julia Assange. Again, Leonard Peltier. Even the person who put him in jail was like, yo, he's completely innocent. Right. So probably not gonna
That's
win a lot of
interesting.
friends there.
No, it's okay. Leonard Peltier is. I have mixed feelings about him. I do know about him, and everything looks okay. But the thing is that because of the association with PSL, I've just had like such rough experiences with that organization. Just to question everything about associated with them. Not that this guy ever did me wrong, because he didn't. And if he's really anybody who's locked up, I don't think they really deserve that. I think that they could just, if he's not hurting anybody, then just let him live. You know what I mean? It's yeah,
Well, so part of my problem with these associations, 'cause let me be clear, right?
yeah,
People know PSL because it's big, because it's the only thing that was out there, right? We know that the DSA isn't real because it's from the Democrats specifically, right?
yeah.
People are going to go to what they hear, familiar with. I've started something brand new, the Unicorn Party, right? No flaws, nobody who's a bigot, nobody who's touched anybody. But people are like, well, that's new. I'm not familiar with that, right? And so I feel like sometimes when people are members of certain groups, depending on when they became associated with that group might not be the monster it is today that it was back then.
Well, I do actually, out of all the candidates, you have a very strong ground game, which actually has really made you one of my most highly anticipated candidates, right? Respect once again. I think that you thrashed her in the fair and equal. You know, Jill Stein, you thrashed her as in terms of interest in your campaign. Were you the number one picked
Yes.
candidate in that particular thing? Any
Yeah, I
candidate could
won.
have attended. And the fact of the matter is that Jill Stein does have a lot of, I have actually on the record. Well, we're going to get into that later, right? But let's go on with the, you're not wrong by anything you said about the Assange movement. By the way, the Assange movement is highly controlled, and people should know that, but shout out to the whistleblowers. Now let's move on to the second one. I do have some experience with the Andrew Yang crowd, and there are people that I know who is, and I'd still like them to be allies. We'll see what's up. But how do you feel about UBI?
Universal basic income is something that everyone is going to need. Now, I do not believe that in 2024 people should be working a 40-hour work week because we have technology. We have robots. Like we know that back in the day when things were more manual, sure, it made more sense for people to be working that amount of hours. But as technology has increased, our productivity has almost uh, what was originally expected of our grandparents. And I'm not here for that personally. So I think Americans in a Sherman administration with their universal basic income would be good at 20-hour work weeks, 4-day work weeks. Because I know many people who work in fields where you're done with your job technically in the first 4 hours of the day. But because of all the meetings you sit in, the wasted resources, your time is a resource that their companies are wasting. They squander that. You sit in meetings that don't mean anything, that could have been an email. People who are working with their hands often could get jobs done a lot faster without the bureaucracy or the red tape that insurance companies have made us go through.
Okay.
So I do support UBI. I have to say I
Okay,
support
I'll move on to the
UBI.
next one. I do have actually a
I'm
series
going
of
so bad. I'm
partners
so
that I
sorry.
work with. No, that's okay. Another group that I work with is the disabilities community. And the thing is that right now there is actually a law that allows people with disabilities to make less than minimum wage. And the thing is
Yes.
that if you look at this, well, how do you feel about that? Or did you
So my
go ahead?
platform, no, no, my platform has specifically a policy for disabled people.
Okay.
It's titled disability policy. So what we do is make sure that people have access to equal payment. So right now, people make if you are disabled, you can be paid $3 an hour, $2 an hour. That's slavery. And my platform not only stops that practice, it makes sure that anybody who works gets paid what they're supposed to get. They also remove the asset restrictions from people with disabilities. So people with disabilities can have now more than $2,500 in assets. It will remove the burden on their spouses when they get married. We
What,
do a complete overhaul of disability justice
you
with
have
my.
history in New York as well too, right?
Yes, I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah, yeah, and you also have in some, but now you're in North Carolina.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a very important electoral state, right?
Yeah, and I lived in Texas for a while. So I mean, like I'm a candidate that has lived all over this country.
Yeah,
Um,
people.
and I do want to shout out though the people in Washington and Oregon turns out those have been the biggest donors to our campaign, and I see you and I thank you.
I'm just gonna ask now because it's just so much on my mind. Who are you talking to at People's Party of Texas?
Um, so specifically, I've met with a couple of the individuals. I don't know everybody's name off the top of my head. One person is Athena. Do you
Oh,
know
great.
them?
Okay, I know Athena actually. Yeah, I like Athena. Okay,
Yeah,
the People's Party of Texas actually claimed independence from the national group. Do you know about that?
I did hear about that.
Ah,
We have,
yes. Okay, good.
we are
Okay, so
in,
you are in
we are,
contact with the
yes.
rebel community, I guess you could say. I was actually part of that community.
I want to say I'm in
Yeah.
contact with people who wanted to be on the right side of issues. Like I said,
Wow.
there are so many people out here doing this work, and I want to keep working with the people that goals are serving the people.
Okay.
And that portion of the group is who wants to
Okay.
serve the people.
Well, another community that I work with is the trans community, so let me ask about this question right here. Now, the thing is that we know trans people face a lot of discrimination in their lives. It's hard for
Yeah.
them to hold down jobs, it's hard for them to find housing. Now, the thing is that, now this is going to be a hypothetical question, okay? The thing is that we look at public housing, and often people who are trans need public housing because of all the discrimination that they face. Now, we see that 10% of people applying for public housing are trans. And then we do a study inside the system and we find that only 1% of the people inside of public housing are trans. And we say, you know what, something's wrong here, all right? Right, people talk about quotas, right? They talk about they talk about creating guaranteed housing for the community. There's a lot of different ideas, right? There's resistance to quota. Almost nobody likes quotas, by the way. That's when that's asked later. But what's your idea to this kind of solution, to this kind of problem?
Oh, I plan to just give everyone housing, right? The fastest way to eliminate houselessness is to give everyone housing. Trans people are a part of that. Everyone, they're people. I'm a trans person, and I want us to live past 36. So what I plan to do is not put people in ghettos. I plan to take, again, remember I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to buy the housing that's already for sale by owners. We know those homes are ready for inspection. We know those homes are, no one is like losing inventory.
But
We're gonna buy it.
what happens if you're trying to like buy a building for a community
Mhm.
project, and they say, we're going to get more from the developers?
Oh yeah, yeah. The method by which I'm purchasing those homes is through eminent domain. But I'm
Okay.
still like it's not really going to be my entire platform, my entire presidency is not going to be a negotiation with the terrorist that is currently the Republicans and the Democrats. Americans who vote for me are going to be voting for change. So I would be going in and strong arming the situation. The same way Joe Biden bypassed the Congress and the Senate to deliver weapons to hurt brown people is the same way I'm going to bypass the Congress and the Senate to deliver housing and
Okay.
healthcare and education for people.
Interesting. Okay. So there's actually also a larger question, you know, like at play here. The thing is that there's no law saying that you can discriminate against trans people, but we could see that the statistics, right, are still saying that it's happening. Um, like I guess you just like solve it like with a global solution, but is there sometimes there are like problems like this, right, where
The
um,
the trans yeah, the
yeah,
trans community has specific issues. There is a policy. So just like I have a policy for the disabled community, there's a policy on my platform that outlines it outlines exactly or specifically how I will be making sure trans people are protected, including at the workplace, within their homes, within their communities, and to make sure that they're not, if they experience discrimination, they have access to a lawyer for recourse. Right now, everybody tells you, oh, you've got these protections, but protections don't mean anything if you can't contact a lawyer who can hold those people accountable on your behalf. And that's like, we actually need to put tooth to that. My platform also ends the gay panic clause. Like, we have to actually protect people for real, not just talk about it.
what are the gay panic laws?
So let's say we're in a bar, we meet, and you decide that you didn't realize I was a trans person. We got to my house, you didn't like what parts you found below, right? You could say, I was panicked and kill me and get away with it in some states.
Okay, what states is that? What states are those?
Too many.
Okay, that does sound, I, yikes, what a situation. Yeah, can't be killing people out here. So, let's yeah, try to talk it out, folks. Anyways, yeah. So let's go to the Oh, have you heard of something called right to repair?
Yes, I am giving people the opportunity. So, like John Deere, for anybody that doesn't know about companies like John Deere sell these tractors and things like that, and you, the person who paid for them, is not allowed to legally work on them. I call BS. I also call that on companies like Tesla and Hyundai because they're trying to charge you to use elements of an item that you already own. If you have to pay for heated seats in a car where you paid for the heated seats to be there, I have an issue with that. And so my platform does tackle that through our tax system, through the triple bottom line to go after these companies that are practicing predatory practices like that. Because anybody who's ever gotten a terms of notice of terms and service conditions sent to their phone, it's not a negotiation. You are not given an opportunity to negotiate. You are not given an opportunity to advocate for yourself at all because the person you bought it from just says, I've updated my terms and conditions, and you're forced to sign it or locked out of a product that you've already paid for. No, we do tackle that.
Okay. One thing that I do, you know, have also a question about is your position on the vaccine.
Yes, so I think that people are dying if you're not vaccinated. If you are someone that works in a medical facility, it is mandatory that you get vaccinated. If you are a child at school, you would use the same vaccination exemptions that we've been using. If you are
I don't want to
someone
push too hard, but I just want to ask why you trust the vaccine.
So I'm not a doctor, right?
Okay.
The same way I'm expected to go sit in a doctor's office and listen to somebody tell me you're a fat person and if you don't lose weight, you will die. I don't get to pick and choose what those same professionals say. Now, my platform, my universal healthcare platform accounts for holistic medicine. If you have a religious exemption, you don't have to get vaccinated. The only people that it is not an option for are people that want to be doctors, nurses, and work in the medical facility. If you like, that's the only reason. Like, if you claim that that's your job and you believe in science and you are subscribing and providing all these other positions and chemicals for everyone else, then you take them. If a doctor's not willing to take it, either something's wrong with that doctor or something's wrong with the medicine.
Could be. Okay, what happens if the person already had it and now they're immune?
That's not how it works. I mean, I'm not a scientist. That's not how it works, though. Um,
No?
well, like I know you get like immuno properties like that'll make you, but again, I'm not claiming to have that knowledge. What I'm
Okay.
saying is if we have something happen and your doctors are saying that this is something we have to do, then we either have to do it or we sit at home. I'm fine with either. Get paid either way. Gonna eat well either way. Um, and I just try to keep it a buck with people, right?
I
I'm not
see.
the candidate you vote for if you want people to have everyone to be mandated for vaccines. I can't do that. But there is a certain percent of the population I do think should be mandated to have those, just like we mandate our soldiers to do it.
Let's start looking at some of the largest expenditures in our, United States, system here. We know the military is a large expenditure. We know that they're also engaged in, before you talked about not being influenced by Western cultures, and I understand that imperialistic, you know, um, the effects of what that happened to my people. So, anyways, what is your take on military reform?
So I want to bring all of our troops home. I also want to make sure that the military is a place that is safe for trans and gay people and women to serve in. Right now, it is not. Right now, it is another Ponzi predatory system where certain people get treated better than others, and I have a problem with that. In regard to the culture of military people, my family is a military family. My grandfather served, my sister served. Um,
Just some trans people can fight real well because they get backed up a lot. You know, what I mean, they
they
fight
fight
real good,
real
real
well. I've
good,
seen some real good
real
trans
good.
fighters.
Yeah,
But I also think that if America stopped causing so much destabilization, we wouldn't have to fight as much, right? We wouldn't have to have our people risking their lives all the time if we would leave other countries alone, right? Practice equitable relations amongst our global partners. I think that would be the first start to making America safer.
yeah. I think any soldier on a real battlefield would appreciate someone with skills. You know, what I mean, you need that. You're gonna try and live out there. It's very dangerous. You need
Yeah,
someone. You need a quality person behind you. So it don't really matter. What matters is that they have the skill set. You know what I mean? And they keep your ass alive. You know
I agree.
what I mean?
So, like, when you are in a high pressure situation, and I say this as someone who has lived through three mass shootings, one restaurant shooting, and like had to be the person to hold uh you know the tourniquet in place until the police got there and then asked me what to do. What I will say is, when it comes to saving your life, you want your life saved. You don't give a damn who's helping you save it. You want to leave and you want to go and see your family. The minute we let this bigotry die, the minute we can be a better nation, the minute we can have a better situation for everyone. But because a couple of people practice a religion that is not telling folks the truth about how to treat people, how to love people, we have bigots.
Okay.
I can't fix bigotry, but I can make sure that they're not empowered by making sure people have access to the protections they need to function safely in our community.
Okay. I'm gonna touch on the mainstream media stuff for a second, right? Yeah, the migrant now seems to be a big issue, like in the news. How do you feel about this whole migrant situation thing
The,
and
the
U.S. policy?
I feel like it's a cooked up thing between people who are currently in office as an attempt to maintain power through stupid people. There is no border crisis there's no issue at our border right now. As someone who was just in Texas and went there, we do not have a border crisis. What we have is people who are stoking the fears of stupid people, and they're getting away with it. The countries that and the worst part is, it's only the southern border that these people pretend to have an issue with, because we have people coming through our northern border, and the people that are coming through the border right now are not even people from Mexico or any Spanish speaking nations. They're people who were displaced, but not not the way we think.
Okay. Let's go on to another one of the large expenditures for the nation is going to be those things called, you know, entitlements. So the thing is
Hmm.
that there's also, you know, some carve outs for Social Security, like, you know, healthcare, things like that. What are your positions on these kinds of
So
programs?
my platform cuts Social Security. I do believe that we are spending too much young people money on old people who put us in this position. With universal basic income, everyone makes more money the way that we've routed it. They also would have guaranteed housing in a Sherman administration, which means there's no rent and there's no mortgage. So our seniors would be fine not having Social Security, because they would still have their housing plus the money that they made from me purchasing their house through that eminent domain I was telling you about. So they won't be poor. They will not have a lack of funds, but they will not have young people to take those funds from anymore.
Okay. Let's go to the next part.
If I,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to clarify though, my platform eliminates a lot of entitlements. Section 8 would go away. Um, a lot of these supplemental programs that we have would go away because people would actually have their own money. So corporations, they would be cut off from corporate welfare. Right now, every tax season, we write corporations a check with your tax money. That would be going away. I would be ending welfare for corporations and American citizens too.
Yeah, they get a lot of unfair advantages. That's definitely true. All right, so let's talk about also there's this idea of the federal economy and this kind of like, you know, printing out a lot of money and stuff like that. What's your opinions on the Fed, this money stuff?
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I would be ending our relationship with the Fed. The Fed, people don't understand that the Fed is a private institution that is taking advantage of us. Right now, the reason the economy is so bad is because the Fed said that we needed to lay people off. The Fed is a private company that is not here for the betterment of Americans, but it does negatively impact our lives a lot.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong about that. All right, so let's move on to education. There's a lot of talk about educational reform right now. I'm actually looking for allies to help me fight against the Asian American curriculum, which is being implemented. I think that it's horribly designed. Um, but you know, there's other questions about DEI, things like that, right? What's your idea on these, right? CRT. What are your thoughts on these particular programs?
I think we need less alphabet things if we would just tell people the truth, right? Like it doesn't need to be a special classroom to tell your kids that Christopher Columbus never came to America. It doesn't need to be a special classroom to tell people that we as a society thrive better when we don't isolate ourselves. Like we're making stupid culture wars that our government gives us because they're bored and we're falling for it. Like we don't have to live like this. We can be smarter than these people give us credit for. Just tell people the truth.
Sounds good to me. All right, so all right, let's move on to some of the other. Are there any other particular policy? We already talked about some criminal justice stuff with the bail reform, but are there any other particular, housing? You talked about that. Are there any other particular like areas of interest that you have, like or areas of expertise that particularly
I mean,
informed or?
I don't have anything crazy to tell you guys. I try to go through day to day treating people the way they tell me they want to be treated, right? I think the country would be better as a whole if we stopped pretending we know better than the next person knows for themselves. That's not my body. I don't have any reason to control it. That's not my family. I don't have any reason to police it. But what I do need to make sure is that people that are born into whatever family, whatever body, have the full support no matter the decisions that their parents made. So that is why I give people health care. That is why we would give people housing, because we don't know who's going to be born somewhere next. And if you are someone that pretends to care about children, this is the fastest way to make sure they have quality lives.
All right, this is the most interesting part. I had to just race ahead and talk about this stuff right here. Okay, so this is you're running for Green Party president nomination, and is that you're doing quite well, I believe. Like you did well in the debate, but what about have you won any states or?
So let's talk about that, right? The Green Party is a political party. It's the third largest political party in the United States currently.
Wait,
But
no, I think the Libertarians are larger,
um,
but they're up there. They're like fourth.
fourth, when I say largest, right, they have more, I think they have more name recognition than the Libertarians do
In some circles. I am.
in some circles, right? Um, so we can say they're the fourth largest. I don't mind. But they're still ran by people who just got mad at the Democrats and the Republicans and decided that they cared about the environment. They're not filled with people that are actually interested in making change immediately for black and brown or marginalized people in this country. So I lost an election in Kansas for the Green Party. Only 7 people's votes were allowed to count. I lost to Jill Stein because 7 people. Now, if you take the population of Kansas and you look at 7 people, that's not a fair fight, right? Stories have come out in Oregon where the Green Party, because candidates like me who are actually representative of the people are joining, candidates are being removed from the ballot altogether. Oregon, like the story came out, Oregon contacted us and was like, nope, Jill Stein's going to take it. We're not even going to consider you guys. That's what happened in the state of California. An article came out about that as well.
Have you been allowed to debate her in any way or access to Jill Stein?
Jill Stein and I have been on 2 forums together, and every forum has been to cater to Jill Stein. There have been forums that I have sat on where I'll participate in the whole thing and she'll come in for 10 minutes, hang up. But she has literally told people that she is afraid to be in the room with me. You can check that out with the Rainbow Greens. Unless they lie to you. And even in that election, only 33 people were allowed to participate.
Why do you think she's scared?
Well, no. So, I mean, she's a racist, but she's, like, I want to be clear. She said that because she's a racist. And I don't really engage with bigots or racists very often. So it's not my
But she
concern.
has Cornel West backing her up. She was his campaign manager.
And he left the Green Party.
Yes, this is true.
The
I
Green
have
Party's
stuff to expose Cornel West as well.
I mean, let me
Go
be
ahead.
clear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to get into people's squabblings, right? But Jill Stein is a racist, and slave owners often love the people that they're trying to enslave, right? Like white people working with you for the sake of capitalism is something that has always happened. Just because they know a black person or have a black friend doesn't mean that they're not practicing.
There's certain things they can't talk about. We're about to reveal. I'm revealing all of it. I don't care. I just gonna march forward. Yeah. Let's take a look at. Now the thing is that
truth.
well,
Like if there's
let's take a look
something,
at some other truths right here. The thing
Sure.
is that you do actually have a grassroots following. You do have people that will convert and win you debates, things like that, in clear fashion. The free and equal debate was actually quite a large debate. Y'all, you destroyed it, right? Yeah. Now the
Yeah,
thing
there's
is that
another one coming
this
up.
is not reflected in the polling exactly as you said. What about the media? You'd think has any media covered your campaign? If so, who? I'm very interested to know
The New York Post wrote a very rude article about me, I found out. So
who.
thank
Okay.
you, New York Post. The what do you call them?
What about
Um,
so-called third-party independent media that supposedly support third parties? Any of them
I
cover you? Breaking Points,
no.
Jimmy Dore Show, Katie
So
Halper.
we we contacted them. Jimmy Dore has been informed I exist a long time ago. Wasn't interested.
Why do you
Tim,
think? I mean, there's a lot of shows, right? Like Kyle Kalinske, The
yep,
Young Turks. Any of them?
Young Turks, none of them. And we know for a fact the Young Turks, Consciously, all of that group, Consciously is just someone that is got a following that we contacted, and we know for a fact they know we exist, but they've chosen not to tell the public about us.
Do you have any theories as to why this is the case?
Well, because I'm a candidate that actually wants to win and change the system. People who benefit from the oppression of others don't often help people succeed in
Okay.
what we're trying to do.
You have an active base, and this is something they would normally like to acquire. There's a lot of talks, if you talk to Athena, about how they acquire lists. They love to acquire lists, things like
Hmm?
that, right? Yeah?
Yeah,
Now, right, they would love to exploit your community, 100%, right? Yeah? But
yeah.
um, the thing is that they're a little bit scared, right? Because any real activism is actually very disturbing to them because they're really there to maintain the status quo. So, the media, I just want to expose them as well because there's many other people that are kept out of the system just like yourself.
But
And
we
I'm
know
about to,
that because
yeah,
if you
go ahead.
look at, there's a dude who changed a white man who changed his name to literally anything, and they put him on primetime television. No platform, no nothing, hasn't been building coalitions, hasn't been doing mutual aid, and they just gave him the chair.
What
People
about
like
Ajamu Baraka? Have you reached out to him?
we've reached out to everyone.
What about Dario Hunter? Because I've emailed him too, and I can show that he hasn't really responded.
No, so we've gotten nothing from, and then like that's the worst part. I've been telling people, stop tagging me in these people's communities because they want to continue to profit off talking about change without actually making change.
Well, that's too bad because they get in the way. And you can exactly see by their body of work. That's why one of the first questions I ask in this interview series is, right, yeah, what are you most proud of accomplishing? Because we want to know what people have accomplished. And Jill Stein, I'm sorry to say, yeah, it's very problematic. So thank you for exposing it. And I'm really excited about now, after this event is over, right, I can tell that you're determined. You've been working for a long time in this activism game, which is really cool. What do you plan on doing after this? Or do you have any particular issue that you're particularly planning on driving?
So still working with ending houselessness. Like I don't have any other goal outside of ending houselessness. We deserve better. People deserve to have quality housing, and I'm gonna work to do that.
Okay. North Carolina, actually, if they're not using the property, can't they even just lease the property to you? If it's not being used constructively.
They've declined to do that because people don't want certain individuals in their communities.
This is actually real stuff going on, folks, yeah? And how can it be allowed to happen during an election season? This is really when they're really,
Well,
it should
because
be hard for them to get away with this.
well, no, because nobody holds anybody accountable, right? Like, look at what's going on in our current election, right? You can't, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, they're gonna shun you.
You're in North Carolina right now?
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
about Matt Ho? He's in distance for you, right? Yeah, Matt Ho has betrayed me. I'm sorry to say. Is he any way coming out for anything you're doing? You guys are local. I mean, he probably wouldn't get in your way. I know
No,
his style, but he's not
Matt Ho
helping
has
you, is he?
no.
Why?
I've had libertarians reach out about assisting, but he was not on that list of people.
Okay, I've talked to Ho before. I'm telling you right now that Ho has joined a group of aristocrats that include Cornel West, Jill Stein. There's a little club up there. And, right, yeah, it's just like this Puff Daddy stuff, right, yeah? They have certain tests, right, yeah? I'm not trying to say, like, they invite you to, like, that kind of a crazy party, but they want to know, are you going to do as you're told? Or are you actually, like you said, actually making real change happen, yeah? So, Quite excited about this now. So, what's your biggest plans for like the housing thing? Maybe you could get some access to different people, different housing advocates in the game. There's someone named Coletta Sharp. I don't know if you know her. She's actually in North Carolina as well. Barbara Gaskins has been I'm sorry that she worked with the Ford Party. I'm not saying they all bad, but they definitely not all good. Every single Asian American has left their organization in disgust. And Andrew Yang's staff was all white, but because it's Asian Americans, no one cares to help us. So maybe your campaign could really be a first as in terms of helping us with the addressment of these and other issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all have to work together. I want to let you know, though, we did meet with a member of the Forward Party because, like
Okay.
I said, we're building coalitions. And so they did reach out to us about pitching me as their candidate. And that group has decided that they would rather not pitch a candidate for their party. Instead, they wanted to promote RFK, which is what Andrew Yang is doing. But
The,
they were approached about having their own candidate
it's
with
really a
the
money
Forward
game.
Party.
I'm telling you right
Yeah.
now. I've been around this for campaign after campaign. I actually have. I don't know if you've seen some of my work with gathering candidates from all around the nation in the 2020 election cycle. Now they're all being given clear instructions not to participate, and they just raised a corporate version of what I did in the last campaign election cycle. You know what I mean? With
Yeah.
C-SPAN and all kinds of other people paying for it. So, but by the way, you kicked ass in that, right? Because of your actual grassroots background. The reason why the
Yeah.
big players not, I'm telling you also that there's a lot of consultants in the game that's running and deciding, right? Yeah, they don't like someone like yourself who's got an actual grassroots following. They want people that's just like music artists, that's dependent on them, and they'll make sure they come up and they'll make sure they cut you out because they
Yep.
cannot have people that are outside the system that are not paying into their particular, fealty to their house. And I get it from their end, but I'm no, not me. You know what I mean? Nah. So that's just what's up. Anyways, so what's the next? So if you actually, one thing that I would really love to do is I had actually a public housing panel for events here in New York City, but maybe we could have a national forum on housing. Do you have actually? Would you be interested in hosting that as part of the Up 24 series?
Hosting? I'm not, so I speak publicly, but I'm not a good public speaker.
Okay.
Like, what would that look like? I
Well, the thing
mean,
is that I actually have the email addresses for every single federal candidate running for office in the 24 election cycle. And now the thing is that I email them regularly, but in the last election cycle, I had a candidate discussion panel on women's issues. I had one on electoral reform, military reform, right, criminal justice reform. Now, this time, I'm decentralizing it. So, actually, to promote your own platform, right? Yeah, you could host your own Up 24 event on your own channel, on your area of expertise, whatever you think it is. You don't have to just invite candidates, right? Which I'll invite through my list. But anybody, activists, right? Yeah, a lot of these candidates don't know anything about this stuff, and they talk about what they saw on the TV or the news, and it's disgusting and wrong. Yeah, it
yeah.
shows a real lack of understanding, and you know, yo, it's just it kills me. You know what I mean? I bet you see some of that too, though, because it sounds like you're hands on with the community.
Yeah, I do see a lot of disingenuous behaviors. Um, what I will say is that we are hosting a bunch of events. What I'm hoping is that the next event is going to be a fundraiser in Massachusetts. So I can make sure that you have access to that. But I don't want to take on more than I can actually do. And by that, like, I try not to lie. So that doesn't sound like something I have the bandwidth to hold currently. But if that changes, I can let
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I usually just do it through like a Zoom call or something like that, so it's not really anything that's really too crazy, right? Yeah, we just did one
Well,
like for world peace, the world peace discussion forum. That's like an
true, but
example.
my
Yeah.
s- my schedule is a mess, and I don't want to lie to you. It took me, you saw how long it was to get you rescheduled. So,
Yeah, you're by the way, props to your campaign. You are actually doing quite a bit. I'm actually quite interested, by the way. I think that they just started the petitioning process here in New York or something like that.
right, we just
Now,
hired a petitioning company, so you're gonna be seeing people out there getting more signatures signed up.
why aren't I really find it disturbing, and I don't want any event to go down here in New York City like promoting the Green Party without your involvement. And if they are, I think it's fake and whack. and I'm just really mad about that. And I would
Just so you
actually,
know, that's
yeah,
yeah, the Green Party. So the Green Party talks about how they want to be fair and equitable.
no, they
But
don't.
again, they talk about it. They're not doing a good job of even pretending that they are. So the Green Party is not, I mean, a couple of individuals within the Green Party have offered to help us with our petitions. I know New Jersey is doing it fairly, but not every Green Party state is planning to be fair.
I've been in
So we've
green
been,
since the '90s. Yeah,
yeah.
I get to, yeah. So come on, yeah. But there's some people that got in charge, and I get what they're doing, but you know,
Right. So you get it, right? They're playing
hey, I've been in
politics
this game too,
and
so I could, you know, what
yeah,
I mean, let's
they're
go then. Yeah.
pretending they're pretending that they're not like the Republicans and the Democrats.
You have a
And
grassroots following. Like you're
yeah,
already destroying them in their truths. There's no answer to this. And by the way, I just want to also show that the media that does not have you on, that supposedly is talking about third parties, that there's something suspect going on. There may be
yeah.
corporate consultants that are
The
paying them to
first
get them on those shows. And if you're not
first
paying
groups
them,
we contacted, the
yeah.
first group we contacted were the Young Turks. We contacted the Young Turks and we even contacted the dude from Second Thought. They were not interested.
Disgusting, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
don't worry, you have a home here, yeah. And actually, as we keep combining our grassroots communities, I don't know if you've seen some of my work with the public housing community. I just went to an Asian American event yesterday, right? Yeah, I do have actually quite a lot of work out here. So I also have you seen the video of my
So
friend confronting Cornel West?
I have seen, so I have not, I have it in my box to look at it, but like even in when I've spoken to you to reach out to email you back, you can see I'm behind by like 7 days and I'm ashamed,
I
but like
understand.
there is a delay. It's there because you send it out and I'm grateful for you sending stuff out. But even if you can see in my response times, it is slow because this is a grassroots campaign. And so while most people have handlers that can read all their emails and do all of their work, like every quarter, the FEC requires us to do a certain amount of paperwork. And we have teams where like everything happens, like it's a person doing it. It's not, we don't have staff in other places.
I
It's
hope
us.
Athena can help you in Texas. I have people you have people in North Carolina. It's an important state. I got people in LA. I got people all over. Maybe there's even someone in Chicago. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the big first largest, second, third largest. Are you having any events here in New York? I think you have some people out here.
Yeah, so New York is going to happen May 12th. We're putting together a fundraiser
Oh, okay.
May 12th because I'm in Massachusetts on May 11th, and May 12th and May 13th we'll be in New York doing it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about the press not covering it. It shows it shows y'all who seriously once again look at the results that you have on the free and equal. There's no reason for them not to have you on after that point. Oh look, you blew out Jill Stein, right? Yeah, not saying free and equal is all that because there's definitely questions about what's going on there too. But to have a candidate like yourself to outpace Jill Stein like that, that's worthy of some kind of coverage. But why isn't there? Because they're pissed off about what me and others have done before. I'm sorry to say, yeah, but you're doing great out there, and I'm really excited about your movement right there. And I'm excited you have a team out in New York. Damn, that's amazing. So
Yeah, but we will be out there on May 12th, May 13th. I hope to see you. I
I
hope
think
to
there's
see.
another guy named Emmanuel Pastrick who's also running for president, and also Susan. She was a former Green Party presidential candidate.
I
Maybe
met them.
there's yeah.
No, so there's another debate you can watch where I've debated them already. I won that debate as well. The Alaska Green Party invited all of those candidates. So if you haven't seen it, there was already a debate between me and them.
Well, you have more of a following. Maybe they would be run for you as a VP under your
So
an
I
ad
already
if
have.
they have a following. Yeah.
So Tanda Blue Bear is already my
Oh,
VP.
I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot. Sorry, Tanda. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
You're good.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean. I do
You're
remember now.
good.
I do remember.
She's
Yeah. Yeah.
as we speak, she's on the ground, like working right now, with the community.
Yeah.
So
She's been there for like since the beginning. Yeah, like months ago.
yeah, she came around
Yeah.
months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I remember now. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're good. But yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. The biggest thing is I have to go to Alaska, so we're fundraising to make sure that I'm in Alaska, um, and I have certain requirements that I have to meet with the FEC. As you guys know, they really do run the show, so I'll be working on making sure I meet those requirements.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds good to me. Yeah. You're doing very
Yeah.
good with your campaign. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of thing. My camera's all messed up. It is what it is. Yeah. But I would like to actually. Is there any other testimony that you could like provide, like as in terms of like what's going on in the Green Party for yourself?
Just watch. So there was an art. Ooh, email me. There was a reporter that I interviewed with, and he's got a lot more information. And he I think would be a great resource for you as well. I can share that contact
Do you know
information.
that RFK actually has this guy called Nick Brana on? They hired him to work for his campaign.
They've hired a lot of people. The person who hosts the free and equal debate got hired by RFK.
Nick Brana actually got actually came after me to and set me up with the Yang Gang. He said that I stole data, you know what I mean, and got me kicked out of the Yang Gang. Yeah, and I'm still at war with them. I have apologies from their staff on my website, and I also have what is it? I also have them show in a video call where I show them setting where they said that they admitted to setting me up. Now, right? Yeah, Nick Brana still hasn't answered to the charges, right? Yeah, and he has sexual assault allegations. Yo, you could look it up. Type in Nick Brana sexual assault allegations. You're gonna see a whole bunch of videos pop up. I'm telling you right now that there's some Harvey Weinstein stuff going on in this community right now, and it's really disturbing. Yeah, the Puff Daddy stuff is. I swear to God, it's happening in this community right now. That's why your stuff is not getting covered. I'm so sorry.
Well, I appreciate you covering it. And I appreciate the people who do want change fighting for it. Um,
I respect your
this
work.
isn't
Yeah.
going to be something that's easy, but it is going to be something that we get done.
Okay. So yeah, I will actually be emailing you about some upcoming. Well, that was pretty quick. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Damn, we just ran through it. Any questions that you have about myself?
No, I mean, just keep holding people accountable. Like, I really do appreciate your emails and giving me grace when it takes me a long time to get back to you. We had some people on leave, and I just please keep doing what you're doing. I hope you consider coming out to the event in New York.
Yeah, you have the best support. Yeah, you have a real campaign, the
Thank
most
you.
legitimate campaign. I feel, even more Jill Stein. They're really hogging up the money and the resources, and
They
there's yeah, and the
What we're
green
gonna do
yeah.
is we're gonna get voters who don't currently vote. We are not going after the same four people that they've all been fighting over, right? We are going to get younger voters, people that want new things, new people. And those voters are out there. They just need us to talk to them. And
As
we're
a
going to
community, they have not looked after their leaders. They have not been responsible with the resources, and they have allowed an unfortunate situation to occur that victimizes the very workers within their own organization using NDAs and all kinds of other BS shenanigans. Yo, it's ridiculous, yeah? And that time is over right now. I'm telling you right now. I'm excited to meet you. You seem like a real one. You're out here doing real work. You're talking about very ambitious plans. And
yeah.
but they seem like achievable plans.
They're very
So
realistic when it's time to give the benefits to um other countries.
like I'll be real with
And
you because I'm working on very similar stuff down here. And the fact of
yeah,
the matter is that whenever you have right like public housing or no like even worse right yeah like senior centers okay these are the number one vote manufacturing like kind of like organizations that pop up and it's called the political machine that is used to generate votes by the I've been that is used heavily yeah so the thing is that when they have like when you want to buy like an old jail things like that formerly has like you know the zoning for like lots of sinks and a lot of rooms they're going to want
right,
to use that for some kind of housing they can convert it to a hotel or maybe like another
right.
jail or something like that but they're going to want to use right yeah uh, that kind of space.
But never for the good of people. That's just what pisses me off about it. Like that's just my whole beef with it.
Yeah, to be rich. Yeah. So all right, cool. Are you any particular yeah, so you're just running around campaigning, I guess. Yeah,
That's
that's
it. I'm
pretty
just
cool.
that's all I do is camp.
Have you made any particular like interesting you know
So we're hoping that
connections?
yes, we're hoping that we'll be able to announce publicly some of those connections in a little bit. Because people are funny, so we haven't been able to talk
I'd like to
about
get
it.
into the same room as the Forward Party representatives. Anybody associated with
Um,
RFK? If we can make that happen,
So
if not, it's cool. But if it could
the
happen, that would be great.
the way that we've been talking through RFK is through the Alaska Green Party.
Wow. Okay. That's
So
cool.
that has been who's been helping us make our connections, is them.
I don't think he'll ever show up on your show, but hopefully he does. He might invite you to something. I hope he does. Yeah. But
I don't know that he
I
really
doubt it.
wants to win, right? Like that's the problem I keep trying to tell people is a lot of people out here are talking about winning, but they're not actually interested in winning.
They're hiring Nick Brana. Yo, there's some real disease stuff going on over there. Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you've seen my accusations of this why Scott Ritter is being promoted right now, but
Well,
there's
not yet. I haven't gone to read everything yet.
okay. Well, you do you know who Scott Ritter is?
No, that's why I'm waiting to get all
He's
this
a
good
two-time
information.
convicted pedophile. But the thing
Oh,
is, yeah, but he's being promoted right now in the anti-war space to make the sexual abuse of Nick Brana and Caleb Maupin okay. They're literally trying to protect their agents out here. It's really disgusting. Yeah.
got you. I will definitely take a look at that. I did not know.
Sorry, I throw that all on you. Yeah, and by the way, the first black man in the People's Party, talking about the People's Party of Texas, had my back when I was kicked out. They said that I was expendable because I'm Asian American. And there's other, yeah. And just so you know, the Asian American curriculum, which is about to become legal here in New York State, denies the existence of Asian Americans in the anti-war movement, and talks nothing about the LA riots or how Korean Americans were actually pushed as scapegoats for that particular during that fight. The only person they talk about is some Korean guy who fought against the Japanese, and some lady named Susan Ann Cuddy who married an Irish man, and who's what is it? She's actually listed by the Department of Defense who worked for the NSA. She worked for the military-industrial complex. That's the Korean
Is
American heroes
that
we're going to learn about.
is that all in that article that you sent, the most recent one?
There's a bunch of them I sent, but in terms of the Asian American curriculum, with Asian American Month coming up in May, I may be organizing a panel discussion on that. Trying to talk to once again. I reached out to historically black colleges and the Black Panthers and Al Sharpton. You see me in a protest in front of Bill Ackerman's office when they're protesting for DEI, saying that Asian Americans need to be included. And even though Al Sharpton acknowledges me, the press I have on record has deleted me from that event. They erased me, even Asian American reporters. This is
I'm
all
so
documented. So I really need your help too, as in terms of like getting my issues out, right? Because they're not covering my stuff either. We have the voter. Also, we have the voter database here in New York State, so I can make that available to your campaign, and then
yes,
you
that
can,
would be
yeah.
yeah, that would be
You know
wonderful.
it's free for New York State, right?
So I'm not. So I again, I'm doing a lot of stuff with my team, but I'm not the person who's doing that
It's
portion.
called the National Voter File Registration. Yeah, that's probably
Mm,
Ray taking care of that. So, yeah, I have a lot of experience with this type of campaign work.
yeah. Thank you for meeting with me today. Like seriously, and I apologize for having to had cancel that
No,
other
it's
time I
okay.
got.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
No, I'm glad we got to it. Yeah, no, I understand. Once again, you're the most highly supported candidate on the ground out of all the candidates, and I can see that. Your view, your your videos are actually getting views. They're actually out there, you know, talking to people,
There,
trying to make it
I'm
happen.
yeah. I'm grateful to everyone that has been helping on this campaign. We are definitely trying to do something different,
Yeah,
something
we
that
need
actually
media too.
helps
We need to
people.
form. I have some media connections. We need Athena to start reporting out of. I have other people in Texas too, but they're a little crazy. But those are my
Yeah,
people too.
introduce us. Like we desperately
Oh,
need
Athena
to.
knows them. Jim Engel's down there. She'll know who that is.
Okay,
Yeah. There's
well
also
that's
someone named
fair.
but she's working for the Cornel West campaign. Some group named Bernadine or something like that with the Green Liberation. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Wait. I do want to talk about this right quick. Okay, so I do know you're actually a trans supporter. Am I correct?
Yes, a trans person, not
So
just a.
the thing is that when you take a look at this Green Liberation, I don't know if you heard about this particular group or Green Renaissance. They're actually contain like anti-trans wording within their chart or within their description. Did you know about that?
I did not.
Oh
No.
no, they're actually, I would say, quite a powerful subgroup within the Greens that are actually one of the largest rebel groups and outside of the that are actually
The
fighting against Jill Stein.
The Lavender Caucus?
They might be involved. I'm sorry to say that these things are going on, but they are, yeah. But I do also feel that just the way that I talked about the Korean Americans, how we were um, targeted for, to be the fall guy during the LA riots when Rodney King went down, right? Yeah. Half the damage was done to the 10% population of the Koreans because we were small and because we were like unable to really defend ourselves, right? Yeah. Politically. So the thing is that I see the trans community is suffering from this exact being targeted.
Yeah.
Trans people have been around like all of our lives.
The
So what?
entire history of the world, trans
So
people have
why
existed.
is there all of a sudden this big like concern about like what they're doing? And I find it quite ridiculous that the concern is on their participation in certain sports when there's no consideration the other way. It's like, what about the housing unfairness? What about the job unfairness? What about their actual lives? Sports, that's like, I'm not saying it's not like nothing, but
It's
it's like,
trivial in the grand scheme of things. I understand what you're
it
saying.
just seems like a weird focus and it seems artificial and it seems like a lie to me. But you don't get to hear from Koreans who experience that. Instead, you hear from intellectuals like Cornel West and Jill Stein who never talk about that. They only talk about it from the perspective of the rich. I swear to God, tell me it's not true. And I can
No, I
say the
mean
names of the poor people that I work with, and they
you
can't.
are 100% correct. They don't talk about it if it's not exploitable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Like
what we're up against.
we've been trying to meet with the Teamsters, and I was telling them that we have something finally, like we're finally getting through. And they were like, "Well, can you give us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" But like the connections that they're talking about, they don't even have. They're just trying to get.
Like what? Like what connections?
Like they want the Teamsters endorsement.
Okay, so here's actually one thing I can tell you about. Actually, just going back to the Asian American curriculum. So the thing is that I have worked with a trans community, by the way, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
because being formerly homeless myself, I'm actually, when I looked around to myself, I said, "Damn, like the trans community has it harder than me, and they're next to me, but they're gonna have to go out and try to get this job, and I know it's just messed up for them. Like as hard as it is for me, like it's harder for them." So I was just always like sympathetic, you know what I mean? Like I don't have no inclinations in that manner. But if it did or didn't, you know what I mean, what does it matter? You know what I mean? But I could see that they had a harder road to travel. So I just really respected that. Um, so the thing is that this community right now I feel like is being targeted. And I want to provide help from the Korean perspective to this community, because I feel like it's a similar thing. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I think it's historically significant, anyways. Yeah. So, good luck on that issue. And also, just there's something called the ERA amendment that's coming up, and there's the idea that there's going to be some people that are fighting against it. I personally am. Equal rights amendment. It's called, where it says
Um,
that it won't allow for discrimination on age, gender identity, race, things like that. Right? Yeah.
yes,
Or
but I think
disability.
yes.
Yeah. But there's a concern that it will be. Actually, just so you know, there's something called the Fair Housing Act. You heard about that?
Yes.
You know that black ownership has actually decreased since the passage of that act?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do know that.
Why do you think that is? Because you're in housing. That's good. Yeah, exactly. Why do you think this is?
Well, so the problem is, right? Like all of these programs are dependent upon a white person saying that we can still have these things, right? Even if you put a brown person at the helm, there are people put in place to uphold white supremacy. And these programs are just band-aids that we are given instead of actually fixing our housing issue. They
I
fund it for a little bit while people are making noise and are paying attention. And the minute the public has changed focus, it loses funding.
community gets what they deserve. They don't get involved. They're not paying attention. They fall for the distractions, and I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but I think education is important, and not everyone has been given that good education on how to not be distracted, how to not fall for propaganda, right? Like, we're not all starting at the same place.
That's because the education has a way of, unfortunately, right? If you take a look at Asian Americans and our love for education, there's also a tie between education and the establishment. in money and wealth, and it's just always been there and always will be there because of that access to the resources. So, you cannot really trust education, you cannot really trust these institutions. I'm sorry to say it's just my own personal belief on that particular issue. So, it is interesting. Yeah, but we could have more of those discussion topics later. Right now you have a campaign to run, and the network is actually something that you plan on taking great advantage of. So I
Yeah.
do want to work with you. Did I ever email you about Salamander Brandy?
No,
She's
I don't.
actually the first. She's actually, Justin Pearson.
Yes.
Okay, when Justin Pearson was inaugurated, he mentioned Salamander Brandy due to her long work. She's actually trans herself, and she ran for mayor in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the highest, right? Yeah,
I
incarcerated
would love to, if you
communities
could
in the
introduce
nation,
me to
and
her.
with Tyree Nichols. Yeah, just hit her up.
Yeah.
It's on Salamander Brandy on. I have interviews with her on my channel. I'll actually
If
send
you
you.
could, if you
I've
could
already
send,
emailed both of y'all together. I already sent you an email with you and her in the same email, so you can just look for that. Brandy
I will,
Price.
yeah, I will definitely look. I
I
apologize.
think I even wrote up about her. You could, yeah. I have a
Well,
lot of
no,
work with a lot
so
of people. Yeah.
right. So what I mean is though, there's a way to do it. So even if we're on the same email, if I'm not given express like consent to reach out to somebody, I try not to reach out
No,
to people.
Salamander Brandy's down. I think I mentioned you before to her. I'll actually text you her number right after this. Oh wait, yeah. And I'll send you the
Yeah,
email. Yeah.
sure. Okay, do that.
Should give
That
her a
way I'll
call. Yeah. Tell her I
yeah, that
sent you.
way I have express permission. I would love to talk to her. That would be great.
I'm helping someone else in housing right now because I was supposed to go to the director of HUD was at National Action Network's national convention. So I was trying to get access to her. I have that video that's going to come out maybe later, but I have just too much stuff that I'm doing here. I have a lot of access
Right.
being New York City. So it's just very exciting to talk to you. I'm so excited to hear about the confirmation, which you probably didn't know how much weight that had for me, but as terms of which media is not covering, right,
Yeah.
your actual campaign and why, yeah, and actually, and the fact that the states also are playing games. Notice that the press is not covering that either. Only 7
Yeah.
states.
So
Why
that's
isn't there a debate in the Green Party community? It's some Kamala Harris bullshit. It's like the corporate people are choosing who to stick in there.
so yes, if you reach out to the Alaska Green Party, I can't go on record. Um, well, let me phrase.
You
Reach out to
better
the
go
Alaska
on record. Lay
yeah, I
it
was gonna
down.
say reach out to the Alaska Green Party because they have more insight. Robert Shields would be a great person to talk to.
Or me. Yeah, I'm telling you right now. Robert Shields is cool, but it makes me a little nervous sometimes. Yeah, he play a little bit too close to them free and equal. He play a little bit too close to the people that's doing the bad stuff. Okay, I've been
Gotcha.
burned hard, and I respect his access, but I'm telling you right now that Justin Ventura is not necessarily the savior solution. He's also with the Ford Party, and he was told about what's going on. I have criminal allegations to show you. Yeah, that's in the thing. As in terms of people who's involved in this, it's a dirty game. They push in child molesters. I swear to God, it's on the record. Look up
Wow.
Scott Ritter. Look up his Wikipedia. He's a 2-time convicted pedophile, twice in separate stings. You can listen to the calls if you can find them.
Yeah, I will look for them. I did not know this information. Uh, so you are teaching me a lot at this exact moment.
Oh yeah, I've been around these people. I've been in the grind. So it's great to yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's been a
thank you
great
so much.
discussion. Thanks. Oh, by the way, before we go, how can people find out about your campaign? Right? Yeah, share your stuff like that.
Yeah, just go to jasminesherman.com. Please donate. We have to raise funds. Like I said, we are trying to make sure that I am on the ground in Alaska. And so that is going to take a little bit. It's about $3,000 we need to raise just to get to Alaska, not even a place to sleep. So if you are able to donate, please donate to the campaign at jasminesherman.com. Um, Email me. You can get scheduled appointment yourself. We want to hear from you. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe there could be like a benefit concert if there's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Robert just could do something. We'll see. Yeah. Do it in advance so that you guys collect the money because the money needs to go through. So we'll see. All right, cool. By the way, last thing before I go is now that people have your information, what do you have coming up that they have to look forward to so they can go to that information?
Yeah, so go, like I said, we have a fundraiser coming up in New York. I will be speaking in Massachusetts. So if you go to jasminesherman.com, those will be on our website maybe early next week with more details for you.
Okay. Yeah. Good luck with the press coverage. Yeah. God
Yeah, we're gonna
bless.
send out another. We always send out our press releases. One day somebody will read them. All right.
There are
Thank you so
independent news
much.
media. Yeah, you just got to find them. A lot of them sold out though. They get bribed with the money, the access, and the resources.
Yes.
All right. So it's
All
great
right.
talking to
Bye,
you, Art.
everyone. Thank
Thank you.
you.
God bless.